And welcome back to the table, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. We are going to hop into Band of Brothers Screaming Eagles. This is scenario number 2. So few led by so many. The German player set up first, which is me. And since we're defending this little villa, I just spread the troops out. The idea was the Americans are supposed to come through and eliminate all German troops defending the village. So they're just set up in there. And then I went ahead and placed all the American units behind the hedge. It said anywhere on map 10, which is this one here. So I mean, I guess I could have put them all along here so I don't have to cross the hedge, but I'm not going to go back and change it now. But we'll get a good practice learning how to count hedges. These are my bane. In any game, hedges are such a pain, so I'm glad that I'm only going to be behind them momentarily, and then we'll bust through the hedge lines and then make our way for the buildings and see what we can do from there. The story itself, I know I'm saying this wrong, Poopville, you're going to have to let me know, team. Is that Poopville? And I don't even have a good French accent to try and figure that. Poopville, France, no idea. June 6th, I don't speak French either, right? Y'all keep correcting me on my German. Please correct me on my French. Please correct me on my France. Please correct me on my French. The 3rd Battalion of the 501st, see now I'm just thinking Star Wars, had been dropped with General Taylor to serve as a division reserve and as protection for the division headquarters. By daybreak, only about 40 men of the entire 600-man battalion had been assembled. In addition, 45 men of the headquarters company had arrived. Many of these were officers, including 2 generals, 3 colonels, 1 major, several captains, and several more lieutenants. That's a lot of, what do they call it? Too many cooks? Too many chefs? Not enough cooks? 2 battalions of the 506th had been assigned to take Causeway 1 and 2. Since not a single man from these battalions had been seen, General Taylor correctly reasoned that those battalions had been dropped in the wrong area. He decided that his group would have to go for Causeway 1. There were so many officers that even lieutenants were assigned as riflemen. As the group moved out... I don't know why that made me laugh, but it really did. As the group moved out, General Taylor said, "Never have so few been led by so many," and now that makes sense. That would have been terrible had that happened to me. Yeah, anyway, just thinking of the situation, we had too many officers. Yeah, never mind. Along the way, the force picked up some more strays and did not encounter serious resistance until it came to the town of Poopville, just outside Causeway 1. As they began their attack, they could hear that the shelling of the beach areas had just begun. The Germans made a fighting withdrawal through the town until they got to their headquarters building on the far side, near the beach, where 38 of them would eventually surrender. As the firefight drew to a close, the first tank from the landings began to move up the causeway about 250 yards away. After an exchange of orange flares and smoke and the waving of orange flags, the identification sign for Allied forces, the men of the 4th Infantry Division emerged from their reeds on the causeway. Although this part of the landings had made it off the beaches, the day was not yet done. After the last tank had passed through town, the paratroopers would turn and follow them along back the way they had came as the invasion pushed inland. Alright, nice. Looks like we're going to have 7 turns, so I'm using, it's barely on the camera, but I'm going to use that really slick Sergeant's turn tracker from the Sergeant's D-Day game. There is a turn tracker here, but since I'm constantly flipping through the book and whatnot, or picking it up, putting it down, I thought I would just have a separate tracker. That way I can also put command points on there if need be. I just think it looks pretty cool. Now, let's talk about a few things. One, I'm not doing the force exchange. So here the German player could exchange 3 of his second line squads for 2 first line squads and a decoy. I left that out. Also with the setup, for a single player, until I feel really comfortable again with the rules, I just left the decoys off. I know that will put the German player maybe at a disadvantage of some kind, and I apologize for that, but, you know, playing with hidden information in a solitaire game is kind of difficult for me, so I'll just leave those off for now. What I could do in the future, if it really bothered me, was just replace a couple decoys with a couple of actual squads, and then see if that helps counteract the fact that, you know, they're hidden or whatever. Or I have some ideas, like I could put a hidden, and when we engage the hidden, I could have some units that would normally be hidden. I could just randomly draw one and say, oh, that's what you actually found. I have ideas for that, but not for this game. The Americans get 6 full-strength airborne squads. They get 2 half-strength and 1 weapon team. So that's 9 total American units that will assault the town. So we'll see how this goes. And the American route edge is west, which I'm going to assume is, yeah, it's that way if they have to route. The German route edge is to the east. Okay, so here's another thing too. The American player is going to get 5 command points, and the German player would get 2 command points. However, again, because I'm trying to relearn the rules, I'm going to leave the command points off because, again, as a solo player, that's one of those things where you could use them, certainly, but then it's a matter of like when would be fair to use them, and I'm not ready to deal with command points yet. Once I get more comfortable with the rules, we can sort that out, I think. Okay, move first is the Americans, so I'm going to assume that means the Americans have the initiative. Now, there will probably be some mistakes, obviously. I'm going to try and quote the rules whenever I can on questions. I will say this, though, after I pick back up the rule book and flip through, there's like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not even a full 6 pages of rules. And I didn't read the concealed counters and decoys because I knew I wasn't going to use them. And I reread the scenario cards, but then part of this first page is just an introduction to the game and telling you a little bit about the components, and then the actual meat of the rules kind of starts on that second page. And I told myself, wow, was the game really that simple? But if you go to Board Game Geek, you would think that this was a super complicated game because there are so many questions that come up. So I'm going to do my best, so please help me out, team. Okay, so Americans move first. What we'll do then is, because I already forgot, there is a limit to my activations. So the operations range for the Americans is 2 through 5. Oh, you know what I should do? That way I don't have to keep opening the book. I'm going to get a little like 3x5 note card and just write that down on it. Perfect. I had a 3x5 note card right next to me, so I've got a reminder. I'm just going to stick it up here. You probably won't see it on the camera, but that's just again, I don't like having to keep flipping back into the scenario book. Okay, so sidetrack from the game. I think in the Texas Arrow expansion, I think it gave a bunch of scenarios that came on the individual counter sheets, and then the scenario book here for Screaming Eagles, and I think scenarios in Ghost Division, Ghost Panzer, I should say. I think they come in a book, and I don't know why that bothers me. But having the sheet would allow me to lay it flat, stick my... Anyway, so I've got some play aids out to help me so I don't have to keep flipping back into the scenario book. Let's go! American troops are up first. So we're going to have activation. Crossing a hedge. Hedgerow. That's the firepower. Looking for +1 to cross. And we're looking at clear here. Infantry get 5 movement points. Weapon teams get 4. So it's +1. So that's going to be... Now, this is like moving them one at a time, right? You activate kind of like one. So they really don't have group fire. And I didn't see anything about group move. So let's just do 1. I mean, they're going to go to the same place, essentially. So that should be 2 movement points. Moving into the woods, I'm going to assume... Oh, moving into woods is 2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what you can do is check. I hope I didn't blind you with that. So if you go center dot to center dot, ooh, it's hitting the side of that building, and then that little tree right there is blocking. So this is all clear to move up, and that would be 5. And I would mark that with a used, right? Because they just went, and then I'm going to move this unit up as well. Oh, for some reason I thought they were behind a hedge. Eddie, what are you doing? You're not even paying attention. Okay, so never mind. That was just 1, 2, 3, 4, and they can't move into the house because that's too many. I don't even know what I was thinking. They're not behind the hedge. Okay, so these 2 guys are right there. Brilliant. So that's 2 out of my 5. We have to push. I like the idea of the weapon team here to guard, but since they're on the defense, I got to move a weapon team up. So we're going to go 1, 2. It's scary to move the weapon team up because there's a lot of Germans here that could shoot at it. Weapon teams get 4 movement points, and moving into the wooden building costs 2. So they're going to move in, right? Because we want to set up a position and start shooting. Now, I think the moving marker is used with vehicles. Vehicles are moving. I think these men, they just get to where they're going and they stay put. However, if they did opportunity fire while we were crossing an area, then you could say they were moving in the open, and you get your modifiers for that. But I think because these folks are ending in the building, they're just going to get the protection bonus of being in the building. Now, we could, and I probably will, as the German player, open up with a little bit of opportunity fire, because now there's some, they see some activity happening here in the building, and we see wooden building is -1 on the infantry firepower, and they are doing opportunity fire, so they're going to use, oh dear, they're going to use their 1 on this half. Get a little pointer here. This firepower is their regular firepower. That's their proficient firepower. And I want to make sure, I believe proficient firepower is what they're going to use with the opportunity fire. Like I said, I just read the rules again. They read quick, but I'm prone to making mistakes all the time. And proficient firepower, yeah, when you're doing opportunity fire, use the proficient. Now, if the target unit is adjacent, you can add 1. If the firing unit is marked as op fire, you can add 1. The player spends a CP. Now, this is where I could, as the German player, spend one of my command points and boost their firepower. However, I'm not going to use command points this time, but that'd be a great chance to use that. Now, my understanding then is I would just have to roll my die 10, which I've got here. Look in the camera. Yeah, you can see that pretty good. I might just leave that there the whole game, or shift it over as we move. Actually, I wonder if I can just stick it here for now. Okay, well, let's see how that goes. I'm sure that's going to block some lighting. It's going to block lighting wherever I put it. All right, let's try that. Okay, now, even though I remember the rule said that even if the penalties take this below the 1, like a 1 is still a hit, so there's still a chance that they could put suppression on that weapon team. And you can also opt fire as long as they haven't been marked used. If they're marked used, you can do final opportunity fire against units that are adjacent to you, or you could spend a command point and do final op fire against units that are outside of that adjacent hex up to their range, so you can't do the double beyond range. So this just meets the requirement of standard opportunity fire. And we rolled a 7, so they missed. Pretty, I would say, what might actually be better is instead of wasting them on opportunity fire because their chance is so low to hit, I think what we'll do is just wait for a German activation and just do a regular attack. So yes, they do have opportunities to op fire, but that's actually really, really poor. Okay, so that's 3 out of my 5 I can move. So we'll move this guy. 1 to cross the hedge, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5 into that building. And there is nothing here in line of sight, and they're already fired, so they're safe. So we'll put a used on them. And see, that's 1, 2, 3, yeah, that's 4, and we'll hop in. So we'll go hop, so that's 2, 3, 4, and he'll get there. So they're running through buildings, and they've got some protection. Okay, that's 5. Then German activation, 3 to 4 units. Now, if I marked some of these guys on op fire, then we could do, then if things come through, we could shoot and get a +1 on the op fire. I don't know if that will make much difference. What I'm going to do is a standard fire from here into the weapon team. So they've got a 4, -1 for being inside the building. Now there is some other stuff too. If it's orchards, concealed, adjacent, moving in open ground, final op fire, smoke. So none of those situations apply. So I'm just going to go straight off of the wooden building. So -1. So they're going to hit on a 3. And they rolled a 7. So they missed. I mean, they got better odds, but these are second line troops, so they're not giants here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are well within the range, so they're going to go ahead and fire as well. And again, they need to hit on a 3. They rolled a 7. Oh, I'm really good at rolling 7s. Maybe I should assign a die. Green for the Americans, and I'll use blue. Actually, I had... Tell you what, let's do this. I'm going to swap out and use a green for American, black for the Germans. That might help. Dice choice is very important. All right, so that's 2, and I can go. I have to do a minimum of 3. We're going to stick some op fire here and some op fire here. You could mark them used, but I think op fire would be the better thing to mark units with to meet your minimum requirement of activation, because then they could still do something. All right, back to the Americans. So we hop the hedge there. So we're going to go 1, well 2 because of the hedge, 2, 3, 4, and that's as far as he can go. He doesn't have enough to get into the building. So mark them used. Same thing, I'm going to move his buddy up with him. And my understanding is that you can stack 2 units, like 1 weapon team and an infantry or whatever combo to get to 2. And then that's it. And when you shoot at a squad, a stack, the 1 die roll you use to attack is used to check against, all the defense. So you attack. That's why a lot of people I've seen, they don't stack their units, they spread them out so they're not getting hit twice. But in this initial push, we're just going to push up and then we can start spreading out through the buildings here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just going to stack used to represent the entire stack is used. Yeah, I mean, depending on who you play with, you got to put a used and then move the other guy, but I knew they were both doing the same thing, so I did that. I'm sure when you play with your friends, they're more understanding and they will allow that. Okay, what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and take this map board away, since I am now onto 1 map board, and I don't know what it is, but this is strangely satisfying playing on just 1 little map. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. That way, you won't see the turn tracker necessarily, but I'm hoping that gives you a better overhead look of the map, and you can see the counters better. That way I don't have to move things around. But there is something oddly satisfying about playing on 1 map. I think that's why a lot of people love playing Advanced Squad Leader. It's usually just kind of like 1 little map, but yet so much action. Okay, that should be the end of the turn. Where's my turn tracker? I thought I had... Is it in here? I thought I had a nice sequence of play. Thought I had like just a sheet that had a nice sequence of play on it, but I don't have one. No, I guess no. So we'll just look at, there's your operations phase, which has your movement and your infantry fire. So we've finished that. No casualties, no suppression from the firing. That was fine. Then there's the route phase. Nobody needs to route. Then it looks like we do melee. Nobody is stacked in for melee. And then finally we do recovery. All units marked with suppression counters, they've reduced by 1. Smoke reduces. And then all used, op fire, CP. Okay. So if I did that right, that was turn 1. Americans have pressed up to Poopville, and we're going to, looks like in this next turn, start to get some DACA going. That seems to be a popular term with the kids in their miniature war games, DACA to get some shooting. Alright, and Americans go first. Alright, I am going to pause and read up on assault fire because I might be able to like move and shoot. So I'm just going to refresh myself on assault fire real fast. Okay, that was easy. Section rule 5.1, assault fire. You just move into your hex. You're going to get marked used, but you fire and you use the proficient firepower. Cool. And if it's a weapon team, they can't assault fire unless it's from the back of a half track, which doesn't apply. So perfect. I've got an idea what I want to do here. First, I'm going to do standard fire with my weapon team. I'm going to go ahead and put some hurt onto this unit here. So we have an 8 firepower. And again, on the back here, yeah, like I don't see any modifiers that really affect us as far as, you know, just the wooden building. There's no moving or anything like that. We're not adjacent, so it's like I'm just shooting right in. So I think we're good. So let's shoot right in. I think, can I place the dice tower there? I'm trying to get a spot where you can see it but have it not be too... Oh, I forgot to advance the turn marker here. Yeah, we'll go for that at the moment. Okay, here we go. Weapon team, skill of 8. They are bringing the hurt against these guys here. A 9. Yeah, that's... Gosh, this dice sucks. Alright, well, they fired. And I'm going to bring them up. Now, I also already made a mistake that you may have caught. I totally forgot that these guys, morale is 9. Which means before I move them forward from the previous area off the map, I should have made a morale check to see if they would activate. Again, just a little thing to slip my mind, but I'll catch it now and we'll do it now. And again, green for Americans. I mean, if I roll a 10, they can't move. I rolled a 9. This green die is going to be the death of the American troops, I think. Okay, so he can move. He did qualify for that. Excuse me, and he'll use his proficient firepower to shoot into that building. -1 because it's wooden. I could, excuse me, I could use command points, but again, I'm not using command points to this game. We're just going to learn the basics. So I'm going to roll. I'm hitting on a 4, and we rolled a 10. Sweet. If I was playing any other game, that might actually be really good. They would get marked with the used. Then I'm going to bring up his compadre here. And they're going to do the same thing. They move into that building. And he's going to fire here. Try and suppress them. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. I already forgot. One could argue and say that 9 I rolled was to see if they activate. Okay, so let's pretend. Because I have to activate them first. And they did. They activated. Now they're going to fire. Shake it good. Come on. I rolled a 5. And I needed a 4. That one command point would have done it, but they missed. So a lot of missing. That's fine. That's 3 units. Okay. This unit will move up. And again, I'm not going to use opportunity fire because their opportunity fire score is so low. I think next time I might play this again, but with some command points and the optional rule to take out a couple of these second line and put a first line. First line unit would be much, much better at things like opportunity fire. So they're going to do assault as well. So they move up to the building. So they use the 5. They're going to hit this unit, and they're going to hit on a 4. I rolled the German die to see if it was any better for them, mostly out of a mistake on my part, but it did not help. So that is 3, 4 units, and I can do 5. Come on, bring the pressure. This unit moves up. They're going to assault fire, use their proficiency score. Same thing, hitting on a 4. Golly. They said this game was like deadly. Well, it's not for them. Alright, now the Germans are going to fight back. Germans can do up to 4 activations. So they're going to start here. They got choices. I'm going to roll. I need like a die 2. But we're going to say 1 through 5 is here. Well, they got a bunch of options here. Down here might be a little out of their way. They could. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, that's not very fair. Let me find my other dice. Let the dice apocalypse begin. Okay, here's a die 4. We're going to start here for 1. It's 2. I'm sorry if you can't see that in the dice tower very well. So it's going to be this group. They're going to attack. It's a normal attack, so they'll be using their 4 and -1 for the wood building. So they're going to hit on a 3. We'll use the black die for German. It's kind of on the 6. Someone said if you want to know if a dice is cocked, so if you put another die on it, and if it falls, depending on which dice falls, that will let you know if it's cocked. That held up, it fell, so that's a 6. That's a miss. Alright, so they get marked with a used. They have 3 options, so I'm going to roll the die 3. They're going to go for 2, which is here in the middle, which is the weapon team, and that would make sense to me. They might not know that's a weapon team, but yeah, I'm sure they can see the rapid muzzle flash coming out of it. Alright, so that would be also hitting on a 3. They rolled a 9. Man, these dice are rolling hot for any other game. Okay, that's 2 Germans activated. He's going to shoot pretty much just straight down into the weapon team. So again, he's going to hit on a 3. And it's a 2. Oh man, someone finally got something. Now the problem is that's going to come off in the recovery. And I don't really think I've got anything to really take advantage of that. Since they're kind of defending, yeah, if they had gone first, yeah, well, anyway, we'll go with it. 1, 2, 3. Where's, can you see anything? Nope. So I might not have placed him very good. Maybe I should have placed him like in that building. But that's okay. They're on the defense. They're making the Americans come in. So we'll put on him. Now, actually, I don't have to do anything. I've done my minimum of 3. So I think I'll hold off and then see what happens when the Americans come up. All right, so it goes back to the Americans. So we're going to move here. 1, 2. And again, boy, one could argue if that's clipping that building. Because it says if you can see on either side of the line, I don't have my traditional line. Let me see. Yes, I do. Thank you, Academy Games. Let's see. That's about, let me just take those off. Center dot, center dot. Oh, yeah, you could argue and say that the building is coming on the other side of that line. So in that regard, technically that does block line of sight. Now that's important for me to know because 1, no opportunity fire, and then 2, they're defended so they could actually move up, which might not be a good idea. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, why is that a bad idea, you might ask? Well, because there's German defender right there who's adjacent. They're going to get a huge bonus to their fire, but I'm hoping it's not enough to destroy them. Okay, so and I think I can move everybody else. And if I move 2 in there, I'm afraid if I move a second unit in here, then what will happen is that 1 attack roll will affect both units in that hex. So let's do it. Go big or go home. The Americans are pushing up. I mean, what are the odds I'll roll a 1 when I attack that? And then finally this Yahoo. Yeah, there's a lot of open space here. Again, I know you got to move 1 at a time, right? So that's 2 movement points. I think what we'll do is come up north. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, is that open? Yeah, does that hit any building? No, that's just right along that hex line. Okay, so here's the thing. The German player could op fire there. So we're going to go here. And the German player could op fire there. And the reason why that's bad is because they're going to be in the open, and unit moving in the open is going to be how many spaces away? 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be a +4. They hit on 5. Okay, we're going to go north. We're going to go north. So I'm going to go here, and I'll let him op fire. So that's +4. That's going to make his firepower. See, he's got choices. If he just does a normal fire here, it's going to be, he'll have a 7. Now if he op fires here, it's going to be a 5. So still better odds if he attacks here and there's a stack. So problem is, if this American gets closer, he does get final opportunity fire. Okay. Now, with that, it's adjacent. So that's +3. Can't get the fingers there. 3. And it says if you final opportunity fire, like he could have done op fire here, but he's not. And he's going to do final opportunity fire here because he wants to do regular. Well, if he final opportunity fires, I think that will mark him as used. And if he fires here, that would mark him as used. So he's going to fire here. Otherwise, they're all going to be adjacent. And they're in the open. Okay. So let's see. I know final opportunity fire has like a -2 to the firepower. Now, does firepower go below? I think it says you can. Let me double check the firepower rule. Okay, so it says if you can go below 1, but if you roll a 1 on the die 10, that's always a suppression. And then if the enemy is adjacent to you, a 1 would be a reduction or an elimination of, I just saw it, elimination if the target is a gun. Okay, so if I roll a 1, that's a very bad day for that paratrooper unit. I also caught, and you should have told me, that since I moved these gentlemen into the building, what I should have done, I could have done assault fire. So what I'm going to do is assault fire with them after he makes his roll for final op fire. Because it goes off of his proficient, subtract 2 for final op, add 3 for being adjacent. Yeah, so actually I think he's hitting on a... Okay, so now I'm thinking, because right now he's -1, and if I add 3 to that, does it mean he's at +2? Like, do you take those odds there, those minuses, or does it just stop at 0? So I'm going to say he's going to hit on a 2, even though the guy's adjacent. He was -1 for the final opportunity fire. Oops. Well, 3. He needed a 2. Okay, so again, you rules experts, please let me know. Would that 3 have been a hit? Because when you're subtracting, does that, because it says you can go below 1, so he would be at -1 plus 3 because it's adjacent. But is he also moving in the open? So +4. You know what? I bet you he's moving in the open. Okay. I'm glad you pointed that out because he was moving in the open. So he's going to do, I'm going to say 2 because he was -1 plus 3 puts him at 2 plus 4 is 6. I rolled a 3. 3 plus, yeah, he didn't do a casualty, but he did suppress. Like I said, I might be overcomplicating things, but that's just because I've got no one here to immediately correct me on things. Then it says if they get suppressed, you have to make a morale check to see if they just stop what they're doing, or he can make his assault. He rolled a 7. Yeah, these dice roll terribly. Alright, so I'm going to say he's done. He moved up, they got suppressed, and he's used. Okay. 1, 2, 3. That was earlier. Yeah, he was just defending. I think it was still on the American movement. Yep. All of that. But see, now I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I could, now he's going to get final opportunity fire. I think it's the same thing. I think they're in the open. So that might not be good. So it's 1. It might actually be, yeah, I think he's hitting on a 6. Dang, that might not be good because they're not suppressed. Criminy. Okay, so the decisions are already starting to stack up, and they're horrible. Because now if I move here and he does his final op fire, that dice roll will affect both, and that could make him fully suppressed. Yep. Okay, so let's go here. And we will assault fire from there, because we knew that's along the spine. So they're going to be assault fire, use their proficiency, -1 for the building, so they're a 4. Roll to 3. Okay, now normally that would be really cool, except everybody on the American side has already moved, and that suppression is going to come right off. But next turn, I have a lot of units in place that we could actually take advantage of something like that. Okay, there we go. Now we have to check for route. And I think I've got a couple situations here where they might need to route. Route phase. So it says, if units that meet any of the following conditions at the start of their part of the route phase are subject to route. So first of all, if they're in the same hex as an enemy, nope. They are adjacent to an enemy unit that is not in melee. Yeah, all of them are. So they'll have to check there. They are in an open ground and within 5 hexes in line of sight of a unit not in melee. Now, my understanding is it doesn't matter if they're, it just says to do it. It doesn't say that they have to be marked with suppression or anything. They are not considered an open ground if they have a beneficial terrain. Okay, so they're in a building. I guess they're in a building, so they're in beneficial. So they, all units. They are not considered an open ground if they have a beneficial terrain modifier. They are adjacent to an. It just says if they are adjacent to an enemy unit that is not in melee. All units that fail this morale check must route and may be reduced. You cannot voluntarily fail this check. Okay. So to my understanding, they're going to make a check to see if they route back. It would be this airborne unit. Now these ones here will make the check, but because their morale is 10, they automatically pass. But the German unit is at a morale of 5. So he's got to roll a 5 or less or he'll route. He rolled a 6. Alright, so if you fail, now I only failed by 1, so I didn't come anywhere near reducing them. So it just says, if the unit fails, a unit routes using its normal movement allowance, it must move at least 1 hex and cannot move adjacent to an enemy unit which is not in melee, nor move closer in hexes to an enemy unit that is in its line of sight. So it's going to move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to say he goes there. Hopefully that's correct. So they route. They were shot at. Suppression caused them to fall back. To me, that kind of makes sense. So we'll check for the airborne. Now, they have a morale of 6. And rolled a 9. So, man, these dice really hurt me. So he's going to do the same thing. He's got to fall back to cover. So, right there. He falls back. Okay, that to me would be the route phase. Okay. So now oh, yeah, I still have these last Germans to do something. Okay. Now there are 2 American units there, so that gives us, yeah, some options here. Did this guy do anything? Yeah, he can shoot down there. Let's start with that. I got 3 left, so they'll all do some shooting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in range. So it's firepower 3. He's in a wooden building, so he's going to hit on a 3 or less. So he misses, so he gets a used. And then he'll shoot. I think he can shoot into that building. I think he can see that. Yeah, he's clear. Well, his line of sight cuts through the tip of this building there. So he can't see. What can he see? I may have missed this earlier. Can he shoot through there? No, because he cuts through that little part of the building. So we're going to put him... I could put him on used only because nobody else is moving. I mean, I could put him as op fire, but it wouldn't really help. And then they're going to shoot and try to hit both of them. Yeah, and he's clear to do it. So he's going to fire... He's hitting on a 3. And I got to check that against both. A 1. Ugh. Okay, well, that's not as bad because both of them will be suppressed. So I'm going to just stick that on the top there. They're both suppressed. So good shooting, Tex. Now, I rolled a 1. Okay, I needed a 3 to hit because I had to subtract a 1. If I add their first casualty number to that, 3 plus 1 is 4, which is less than their proficiency score. So they did not score casualties. It's going to be tough. I think probably the only way they're really going to get some casualties is in hand-to-hand combat. But I could be wrong. Alright, that should be... Was I checking a route? You know what? I was checking route and I forgot I had German units. So I totally did that out of sequence. Oh my gosh. Why are you not telling me these things until way after the fact? Okay, so I messed that up already. I went through a route phase and I forgot I still had some German units here to do something. Technically now would be the route phase. I already routed him and I routed that unit early. Had I waited and done it more correctly, this route phase, I have to check for both of them as well because they would have been included in this turn of firing. Alright, so this might set the Americans back, but they're not adjacent, and they're in a building. So it says we're not in the same hex, we're not adjacent to an enemy unit, and we're not in open ground within 5 hexes and line of sight of a unit in melee. So they're not going to route. Alright, cool. I think we're okay. I'm getting better. So I'm going to clear all this off. Let me just pause the camera and clear all that off. Alright, turn 3, advance the marker. Also, I just shifted the lighting a little bit better. I hope that's easier to see, not quite as dark there. Trying to avoid the glare. It's hard to get the lighting and avoid glare. So much to worry about. Okay, the Americans thought they were doing really good, but they're not doing horrible. They just haven't really pushed in. The Germans are dug in really well. Since all of the suppression was yellow, all of that reverted out to good standing, and we're ready to go again. First is the American activation. I think what we'll do this time is have the weapon team lay down some fire here. We're really trying to get somebody suppressed in some capacity so we can move up and assault without them being able to final opportunity fire. I mean, once they get into the fight, who knows what will happen. Okay, so we've got an 8 firepower minus, well, that's actually a stone building, I would say. So that's -2. I think I was subtracting 1 earlier. So we're going to subtract 2 from that. That means I'm hitting on a 6 or less. Let's see what happens. We rolled a 3. Awesome. Now, if I take their first number of their casualty, 3, plus my dice roll of 3 is a total of 6, and I needed a 6 to hit. That, I believe, is a casualty reduction, and when you do a casualty reduction, they also go fully suppressed, and that will mark them used. That is the opening the American paratroopers wanted. Now, can they support their buddy? Nope. Because what I'm going to do is move. Yeah, none of those guys. So we're going to move a unit. We're going to move this one here. Now they got to make a morale check to see if they can do final opportunity fire. So it's a 1. Oh, grab the black die. A 10. So no final opportunity fire for you. And we'll just move in. Yeah, we'll just move in. Okay, we'll move in. And there's a melee phase. Looks like melee phase comes after the rout phase. There's a chance that the German player might run away before we even get to melee. Okay, so we're going to go here. And I'm going to move this unit in and do the same. So they're going to both move in. Now I'm moving 2 because I think the way the stacking limits is, it's like you could have 2 friendlies and you know, 2 friendlies from both sides. So 2 enemies, 2 friendlies to duke it out in a hex. So that's what I'm doing right there. They've advanced into that stone building to clear that area. So that is 3 units. I can do 5. We're gonna try and suppress him so we can maybe move across. So we'll attack with one of these guys here. Ooh. Yeah, or we could attack here. And then I can get these guys out of danger. Oh, yes, because maybe I forgot about that. But yeah, they're in the open. We don't want to be in the open. We want to get into cover. So let's see if I can put some suppression on there. So there are 6 and not adjacent, but I'm guessing that's a stone building, so that's going to be subtract 2. So that means we're hitting on a 4. Miss. Okay. I'm going to have the other unit in there do the same thing, because that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 activations. 8. Okay, so both of those guys opened up. I was hoping to get them some cover fire so we can move in here and they wouldn't get a final opportunity attack. However, that does leave them open now to some retribution. They're going to fire out here. They are in the open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's telling me 5. I mean, I'm assuming they're considered... It says moving in open ground. Are they moving? Or do you just count them as being the fact that they're in open ground and they're there? Maybe they're not moving because they're not currently moving and it's not like an opportunity fire, so maybe they're not moving? I think in here later is a rule about moving, but I honestly thought that was for vehicles. Yeah. So I guess they're not moving because it's not opportunity fire. So this is going to do a normal attack. There's no defense penalties for open ground. Yep, so I guess it's just they're just going to hit with their 4, firepower 4. Okay, good luck. So they're going to shoot out their firepower 4. 10, no hit. Okay, so that's 1, and they get to do a minimum of 3. And you're going to take a... Yeah, these guys are not spaced very well. They can shoot, but yeah, it's not looking pretty. Let's see, we're going to move up because maybe we can start to coordinate some squads. I know I want the Americans to come to them, but really all they're doing is just the occasional suppression. Hey, you know what? Let's get some suppression out here. Not from there to there. Ooh, maybe they can. Yep. It just barely bypasses the buildings. They're going to do it. So this unit is hitting on a 3 because they're in a wooden building. That's -1. And they rolled a 5. So no luck there. Here comes, so that's 1 German unit, 2 German unit, 3 German units. They're going to shoot down here. Again, hitting on 3s. No. I don't know how this game is when you all play it, but that I think has just been some of the worst dice rolling I've done. They're also going to fire 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's just right at his 6 range, so he's also going to hit on a 1. Or I mean, he's hitting on a 3, but I rolled a 6. Yeah, it's not good. Man, it's not good at all. Okay, so the only real benefit is here, and I can move adjacent, which is going to give them final opportunity fire, so it's -2 because that's the penalty for final opportunity fire. So they're -2, and they're adjacent, so it's +3, so -1 to 0. So actually, shifting it 3 space, I'm not good with math. So if I shift it 3 spaces, because they're at -1, oh yeah, so it'd be -1 to 0 to 1 to 2. So yeah, they should be hitting on a 2. Should be hitting on a 2. It's a 7, so he would get marked. Now he could say he's doing an assault fire. Since they missed, he's going to do assault fire, so he's going to use his proficiency, subtract 2 because it's a stone building. He's going to hit on a 3, and he does. All right, now that's important because I'm going to move the other American squads up, and they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if he wants final op fire, he's got to roll a 5 or less to make his morale check. A 1. See, now the German dice are doing good. Alright, but same thing, they're hitting on a 2 because it's final opportunity fire, they're used. I believe it's a 2 because it's adjacent, they're not in the open. So -1, add the 3, I think it's a 2. 9. 9! No firing for you. And then he's going to do his final opportunity, or not his, he's doing his assault fire. So again, he's using the proficiency. He's hitting on a 3, because subtract 2 for the stone building. Oh, but I forgot, it's adjacent, so you add 3. I forgot to add 3 for the other one. So that is a hit. 3, so they're hitting. Check this out. Tell me if I'm wrong math-wise. Okay, so he's firing, and it is using his proficiency value of 5. -2 for the stone building, so he's down to 3. Then he's adjacent, so you add 3 for being adjacent. That makes his total score of 6, because you can't go above your regular firepower, I believe, with that. Well, that's with those other bonuses. I think anytime you use the proficient firepower, you cannot go above your original firepower score. So that would be important. I think I messed that up earlier with some of this other stuff. But let's just say it's all sinking in now. So that would put me at 6 proficiency. And I rolled 3. And his first casualty number is a 3, which is equal to their proficiency score needed to hit. So I believe that actually reduces him and puts them at full suppression. So they just go blazing up to him with grenades and small arms fire and submachine guns. And that whole stack is now used. That's all the Americans. And then the German player says, well, actually I still got these guys down here, so we're going to move them because they're used. Now he could op fire. Where could he op fire at? He could op fire right there. And that would be moving in the open, but I do one at a time, right? So that is moving in the open. We're going to op fire there. So that would make him 1 proficiency. Just checking here. What are my op fire bonuses here? Op fire. Yeah, gotta be if the target is adjacent. Oh, if the target is adjacent, you get to add 1 to your proficient firepower, and I think you would still get to add the +3 for being adjacent, because that would raise your proficient. So I definitely have messed up some math there. I'm starting to catch it though. If the firing unit is marked as op fire, which they aren't, and the player spins a command point. Alright, so they're not adjacent, so they don't get the +1, and they don't get +3 for adjacent firing. Sorry. They are moving in the open, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes away, so that is +4 to their proficiency firepower. So that gives them 5 proficiency firepower. Do a 3, and it's suppressed, and they have to make a morale check. If they fail the morale check, they have to stop right there and get used. And they pass the morale check, so they're going to move into the building. Now this guy gets marked used. I probably should have marked him first because he fired, and they're done. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is all part of their move, right? So they can continue moving because they made their morale check to finish the move. So that's their 5 movement points. I hope that's right. And then these guys will move 1 because they drew the fire. 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we have 2. Only 1 guy suppressed, but that whole stack is marked used. Okay, that should be the end of the turn. Well, except now you got to check for routing. We got a couple things to do before the end of the turn. So route phase. They are in the same hex as an enemy unit. Yes, we have one right here. So let's check that. And they're fully suppressed. I have a feeling this could not. This might be very good. Ooh, a unit routes. Okay. Well, let's see here. What do I fail by? Because I think if I fail by this number or more, like, okay, so I got to roll a 1. So if I roll a 4 or higher, this unit will eliminate. Otherwise, they're going to fall back. Ooh, they can't, because they would technically be moving closer to this American unit. No, they wouldn't, because it would still be 2. They would be moving closer to that American unit. 1, 2, 3, and if they move here, it's 1, 2. So they would have to route this way, but I think they might be, no, because they would be moving closer to this American unit. So I think this unit is pretty much done. But let's just see. If I roll a 1, they're not going anywhere. I rolled an 8. Now I failed their morale check by more than 3, so they are eliminated. They say, no, we're done with that nonsense. And they stay. So they moved in, and we didn't even get to do the melee because they routed. Now here, a little bit different, unless I roll, again, really high. But it does say if they are adjacent to an enemy unit that is not in melee. They are adjacent to an enemy unit that is not in melee. So they're going to make their route check. And again, I think I can move this up a little closer. I think you can see the entire dice tray now. All right, let's see what I roll. A 5. So if I add, oh yeah, they weren't reduced, so they're not reduced. So I would have to fail. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong unit. So yeah, since their morale is 1, and this is their number, so 4, I would have to roll basically a 4 or higher. I rolled a 5, so I believe that this unit is also out of there. Well, they're not frontline units. This is probably, you know, starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel. Okay, so that would be the routing. Now we've got to check routing here, but I think they're fine. They're not adjacent to anyone, and they're in a building that offers protection from all directions. So this unit that I got here does not need to check for route. So they're fine. They're fine. They say we're good. Good. All right, that should be the end of the turn, and no melee. So there's that. Okay, we'll clean this up and be back for turn 4. Let me advance the marker now. Turn 4. And top of turn 4, so we've got some American paratroopers ready to push out. We're moving into Poopville, and we've gotten rid of 2 German defenders. Now we just got to see if we can put some more pressure. I would really like to capture this spot next. So what I'm going to do is see if I can lay down some covering fire here with the weapon team, and then I can maybe move in to take them out. So we're going to open up with the weapon team. All right, that is a wood building, so it's going to be subtracting 1. So they're hitting on a 7. 7, 7. Roll a 1. Well, 5. So it doesn't do any casualties, but it does put a little suppression on them. And they're done. That's important because we're going to move up here. We're going to go here. Well, one guy at a time, right? One at a time. Can't move stacks. So we move 1. And they're going to check for final opportunity fire. They have a morale now of 5. So they got to get 5 or less. Otherwise, they're hunkered down. 2. Dang it. That's what I was trying to avoid. But they rally themselves enough that they see the American paratroopers coming. And they are going to... It is a stone building. So they're hitting on a 2. Well, it's final opportunity fire. So they're starting at a 1. Yeah, I don't think... the more I think about it, I think I'm forgetting some modifiers like the terrain that they're in. So I'm remembering like being adjacent and some other things, but this has a few more modifiers than I am remembering. So let me see if I can get this one right. Hopefully, that's why we play these games, and that's why we try to call out mistakes for each other. So I'm hoping I can get this better and better. And then, of course, in time, this should work out pretty easy, just like automatically. I know what that is. Okay, so it's proficiency fire, so it's his 1. Because it's final opportunity fire, you subtract 2. So he's already working at a -1. I need like a little slide thing so I can count. Yeah, I totally need a little number thing so I can physically see the math. Yeah, I'm going to make something for that. Okay. So they're at -1. They are now adjacent, so that puts them up to 2. They get to... Oh, they do all the proficiency stuff first. So what I mean by that is they get to add the proficient firepower because the target is adjacent. That's 1. So that actually makes this a 2. That's actually important, though, because if this score was closer to his proficiency number and I had like 2 bonuses that would apply, I might not be able to go above that 4. And then you subtract all the penalties. So I'm going to add my +1 for being adjacent, for it being some kind of opportunity fire. So that's a 2. Then I subtract 2 for being final opportunity fire, so I'm now at a 0. Now they are adjacent, so that would be +3. But they're in a stone building. So again, I'm back down to 1. And if I roll a 1, not only is it a hit, but because they're adjacent, it's a reduction. Rolled a 2. Oh, so close. All right, so they did their best. They're going to move in. I could have assault fired, but they're already... We'll take our chances. So I'm going to move this guy next. So that American unit is used. So this whole thing is used. Then this American unit moves up. Same thing, same math. But it does say if you have enemies in your hex, in your hex, you can't shoot out of it. And I think that would also apply to final opportunity fire. So they moved in, pinned that group. So if I wanted, we could opportunity fire with them, but their chances of hitting are really, really low. Because they're going to be 1. They're not adjacent, so they don't get any bonuses for that. They're not in the open. They would have to roll a 1 as well. So they're going to try it. They're going to try and help their buddy out. Now, because it's not adjacent, if I roll a 1, it's just simply going to be a suppression, which might prevent them from moving in. Oh, well, it popped out, but that's a 7. Or I'll do like the professionals do, and I'll say, oh, in the dice tray, please. Oh, man. Okay, in the dice tray for the Germans. So they score a suppress And they get a used marker. And what we're going to do now is make that 6. I got to make that morale check to see if I stop moving and get used, or if I can move into that hex to do the hand-to-hand. And they roll an 8, so they stop. Wow. They came through. Woo. Those are the stars there. Okay, so that's 3 of the American units. Golly. That quickly changed the pace of that section of fighting there. Brilliant. All right. I think what we'll do, I think we'll hold right there. I've used 3 of my minimum 2, so we're gonna pause right there. Okay, so the Americans are in a spot where they want to be. The German player is going to open up with them. They fell back earlier, but they are ready to lay down some hurt, which I may not have done. Yeah, no, I think I did their route. Well, I said adjacent. I don't know. Hopefully I routed them correctly. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. But they're here now. So they're going to fire. They're going to score a hit on a 2 because they got a 4 firepower. Subtract 2 for being in a stone building. That's a 2. I rolled the American die, but it don't matter. So that puts a suppression on both of them, actually. That, I believe, is suppression for both. So we'll just suppress that whole stack. So they are all down. Because you use that one roll. That would be important for if I had like a wounded, not wounded, a mixture of stuff, or maybe that would fully suppress all of them, but they're just basic suppressed. So that was a good shooting, Tex. They put their heads down. Then they're going to do the same thing. Let's see if they can put some heads down. So they're going to be scoring on, it's only -1 for wood building, so they're going to score on a 3. They miss. Nothing happened. And I finally have left over, and he can see there, and he can't see there because it's through the building. Well, let me see. Let me move them for a moment. Yeah, it cuts through the corner of that building. And he would have to roll really good. Now it's cutting through that building. So you can shoot right there. And it doesn't cut through the building, I don't think. Does it hit that tree? I'm trying to keep this steady. Nope. You're good. I think you can see them. It's like touching the tree, but it doesn't come on the other side of the laser line. So I think we're good. So what we'll do then is, again, subtract 2 for a stone building. That makes their proficiency a 2. So they're going to hit on a 2 or a 1. Rolled a 4. Well, they tried. All right, that's all the German units. We are running out of Germans. They are fully suppressed. So they can still do stuff. They just have to make a morale check. So that's not the end of the world. So we're going to move 1 up. And he's going to try and get in here. So first of all, let me roll and see if he moves. So he's got to get a 6 or less. I rolled a 7. So of course he doesn't go. So he's going to get marked with a used. Let me roll for the other guy because this guy was going to do the same thing. And he's suppressed, so he's going to roll a 6 or less. And he moves. Alright, so let me put some counters out here. So he's used because he failed his morale check. You are suppressed, so you're going to bring that suppressed marker with you. You're going to get final opportunity fire. Alright, let's see if we can get some math in here. So we're starting with the 1. The enemy is adjacent, so that brings your proficient firepower to a 2. Then it's -2 because it's final opportunity fire, so that brings you to a 0. Then we add +3 for being adjacent, so that's a 3. I believe you're hitting, good sir, on a 3. But subtract 2 because they're in a stone building, so you're hitting on a 1. Well, I rolled the wrong color die, it don't matter. But, nope. So they move in. And they would get marked used. That whole stack right now is used. And I sure hope I'm doing that right. It seems pretty legit. And very nail-biting. Okay, they can't move in. So far that's 2. Yeah, I can move these guys now. They can't fire out. They can't fire out. So what I can do is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to move them in. Now they're not suppressed in any way. So they're just going to waltz right in because you can't fire out. That whole stack is used. And then I'm going to move him 1, 2, 3, just there as a reinforcement. And I can activate 5, so these guys are going to do some shooting over here. Where did you come from? Did I knock you out of your building? I must have knocked them out of their building. I was checking line of sight. Alright, so first of all, can you? So we'll start with this guy on top. He needs a 9 to activate. And he does. He activates. And to shoot, there's a wood building, so he's going to hit on a 5. Hitting on a 5. 3. So that does put a little bit of suppression. That will only make a difference if his buddy hits. So his buddy is going to see if he can activate. He rolls a 3, he activates. And he also needs a 5 to hit. And he misses. Now the only reason why I said it will matter if the buddy hits is because right at the end of recovery, that yellow goes away. It doesn't stay. So that whole stack is used. Alright, they're done. Now we're going to check for route phase. I think they're fine. They're not adjacent to anybody. They're not in open ground within 5 hexes in line of sight of anyone. And they're not in the same hex as an enemy. Okay, so good. They are not suppressed in any way. But same thing. You might have to check for them, but only because I have a 9, but same thing. They're not adjacent or anything like that. So I think all of them are good. The ones that I need to really be worried about right now would be these guys here. The American, oh, there's one American unit here. He passes his morale check because he's got a 10. Now, they're in the same spot, but they're suppressed. So they're going to roll, they got to roll a 5 or better to stay. So the worst that can happen to them, because I can't add the 7 to, I would have to roll like a 10. Yeah, they still wouldn't take casualties, so, but he might fall back. Yeah, I rolled an 8, so he failed. So he failed it by 3, and if I add that to, yeah, if you fail by 3 and it's higher than that number, it's casualties. But as it stands, he's got to retreat. But here's the thing. I don't think he can retreat because wherever he goes is technically closer to an American unit. And let me just read that with you all. If the route path to beneficial terrain does not exist, then it must go towards the edge of the board. If the unit failed, okay, that's that. Second number, start, where is it? All units, let's see. And cannot move adjacent to an enemy unit, which is not in melee, nor move closer in hexes to an enemy unit that's in its line of sight. If it cannot meet those criteria, it is eliminated. Right, because wherever he goes, he's adjacent there, adjacent here, and adjacent here. So our American troops have pushed through enough that I believe he is eliminated. And he can't go this way because he would be adjacent there. Like, he has to move away. So he's gone. We are pushing up. Oh, you know what? Americans have to check for routing first, though. Okay, so unless something changed, I'm going to leave him out because I know he routes. But he is adjacent to an enemy unit. So let me roll for him because I believe I should do all the Americans first because Americans have initiative. So I should route check all the Americans first. Then, based on that situation, you check all the German units. So let's check for him. 4. So he's fine. And here is suppressed unit. So but they're fine because they are not adjacent to anyone, not in the same hex. Okay, so I think they're fine. Now here, however, we do have a suppressed American unit. So they got to roll a 6 if they want to stay in that spot to fight. They roll an 8, so they're going to fall out of there. But it's a little bit different situation for them. No, it's not. Yes, it is, because I had a German unit here. Remember, I took them out earlier, but I had a German unit here, so I could not retreat here because that put me adjacent. But I can retreat here because that doesn't put me any closer there, and that's a friendly. So I'm going to take that suppressed unit and move them here like that. That stack is used. And then this guy will go back in here. Now he doesn't have to make a check because he has full morale. Or technically he'd make the check, but they would both pass their score of 10 or less. So that might be a melee combat we have. Okay, so whether that's right or wrong, I'm sticking to it. So we routed, and I love the way that that little narrative unfolds, so sounds good to me. Now we're going to check for hand-to-hand. Now it says that both folks are going to roll against their proficiency score, well, their full firepower, and you roll 2 dice. And every success is 1 point of damage applied to the enemy. And I think it's simultaneous, so we're just going to see here. I'll just roll for the Americans first, then I'll roll for the German player. It's not a weapon team, so we're fine. I'm not spending any command points in there. Morale does not affect melee because we're in. All right, here we go. 6 for the Americans. Oh, is there anything about... I think if you're doing... Yeah, I was reading here. Starting in 1942... all Russians and Germans that are in melee against each other have their morale increased by 1. Oh, that's something else. During the rout phase. Okay, that's fine. I think now we're just going to score some hits. All right, here we go for the Americans. 6 or less. That is 2 hits. So that German unit will be eliminated. Now, the German unit needs 4s. And that's 1 hit. All right, so the German unit comes out. And the American airborne team gets a reduction. Now when you suffer a reduction, I didn't see it specifically for melee, but to my knowledge, regardless of how you suffer damage, it says if you get reduced, you get full suppression. So I'm gonna go with that. You could tell me if I'm wrong on that. Melee, current, normal, gun. Just looking to see this is shown. Count each die 10 separately. For each result that is less than or equal to its melee firepower, 1 enemy unit in that hex is reduced. Owner's choice. Weapon teams are eliminated, not reduced, if they are chosen as a casualty. Oh. If a CP is spent, you can re-roll both dice. If a full strength squad is reduced twice, it's eliminated. Only 1 round of melee is resolved in each hex per turn. Morale does not melt. So I'm going to go with that. Full suppression because they did suffer some casualties. Okay, that should be the end of the turn. So I'll clear this off and we'll see what we have left on the board. I'm advancing the turn counter to 5. So Americans are pushing. Let's see if they can get all the way to the end there. And here's where we are right now, how things are looking. We've cleared out a few of these initial buildings and we've got, looks like just 3 German units left. We've got 3 turns to make our way. Now we have a very long range of 14. So what we'll do is we'll open up with the American weapon team and see if we can put some suppression on there. And that's a wooden building, so that's going to be a 7. We need a 7 to score something good. If we scored a 7, it's not as good as I'd want, but it technically is a hit. So they are initially suppressed. And they are used. Then what we'll do is we're going to have them shoot because again we want to put some more suppression on here. So their morale's 10, they're good. So they're going to be needing to score 5 or less to hit. 3. All right, that's perfect. Well, we'll see. But I'm hoping that is perfect because now we're going to move these wounded guys in. Let's move the wounded in and see if they can take that building. So I'm going to move 1 here. 1. And he's going to check for final opportunity fire. So first, he's got to make a morale check just to see if he wants to shoot. 10. So no. Now, I did move adjacent to them, but he can't shoot into where his buddy is. Now it does say if they're adjacent and you want to shoot, like normally you wouldn't shoot into the same hex, but I guess if it's like final opportunity fire and they're like, I don't know, there's something I read, but I think that this is safe. They cannot fire into here because they have buddies. Alright, so that would mark him as used. Yeah, I know the German under there isn't used, but he's not doing anything now. Okay, well actually he does get marked used because he tried to final op fire and failed, so he is used. So this whole stack is used. And then we'll move him in again. Since they can't fire out of, they don't qualify for that final opportunity fire that I'm aware of. So they're going to move in there too. Boop. So I send my two. Wait. I don't think I checked morale roll. You never roll. I could roll a 10. Okay, so first unit moves and they survive. So we did that earlier. Now does he move in? Ah, he rolled a 10. So no, he does not move in. He was scared. And they fired, right? So let's put a used on them. I forgot that. So that is 4 Americans. Yeah, I would have loved to have brought one more unit in there. But it is what it is. Okay, that American unit is suppressed. They said, oh, if you do random events, you can bring a unit back to full strength. But I'm not playing with random events. So now what we got to do is try and assault here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and fire with this unit. So it's firepower 6, and this is all stone building. So he's in a very good spot. So that's -2. So he's hitting on a 4 or less. He rolled a 2, so that puts a suppression. That marks you used. And I believe that is my 5 that I can do for that turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the German player is running out of options here. So he's going to fire. This is going to use up all his activations. He has to activate 3, and he's only got 2 that he could possibly activate. This guy will activate. He's going to shoot up here. So he's in a stone building as well. So he's hitting on a 2. Oh, I missed the top of the tray, but he rolled a 7. So nothing there. And he's going to shoot. I believe he can see safely into that hex. Oh yeah, perfect. So he's going to try and light both of them up. But he's hitting on a 2 as well. Because, well, first let's check and see if he will activate, because he's got a morale of 5. He does. And he's going to shoot. He's hitting on a 2, so if he hits a 2, that whole hex will become suppressed. He rolled a 10, so nope, he did not. He had too much duck and cover going on. Alright, then it swings back to the Americans, and we are running out of options here for the German player. Okay, so we're going to have this guy shoot. We'll have one of them shoot to see if we can suppress him a little bit more. So again, -2 for the stone building. They're hitting on a 4. And that turns that to fully suppressed. Yep. And I was looking, if I add 3, it's not a casualty reduction because it would be 3 plus the 2, and I was hitting on a 4. So no casualty, but he is fully suppressed, and I do have 1 used American. And what we're going to do here now with the last, oh, he was used. With the last American unit is we're going to move up here. So 1, 2, and we're going to assault in there. So it is final opportunity fire, but let's see. He's got to roll a 1 to see if he will activate. He rolls a 7, so he will not do final opportunity fire. So he's in, and they are all used. Okay. Yeah, when you start losing units, it gets easier to do your stuff. Alright, we're going to move this guy 1, 2, 3. Yeah, why not? We're pushing up, boys. That's everybody. That's everybody. Alright, so we would check for routing to see who stays to fight. So we have here, they have a 1. Let's see if they stay to fight. If they roll a 1, they'll stay and fight. They roll an 8. They failed by 7. Because there's his morale of 1. Add 7 to that. Well, yeah. I needed a 1. I failed by 7, which is equal to that number right there. So that unit is eliminated. Because that's the route check. They said, nope, we're good. Because, yeah, they could have went here, but then that would have been going closer to them. I think they're pretty much out, I believe, if I did that right. They failed their morale by a big bunch. So they were shot up a whole lot, and then a bunch of Americans come streaming into their building. They're done. Now, okay, now they have a morale of 9. Oh, I'm supposed to check all the Americans first. Gosh darn it. Let me see. They got a 9. Oh. Okay, a 9. I think they're fine. And then the other guy failed. So if he had failed, I would have brought the eliminated German back onto the board. But since he passed, but I got to check here first. So this guy, they're in the same hex, but he's at full strength, the American unit, so he passes his check. Okay, so then I would go and do all of the Germans. So that one failed, so he's out. And then this guy here, whoop, they're all used. So he's going to roll. We put a lot of suppression on him. Let's see what happens. Roll of 5. Now, he did fail, but he did not fail by 7. So he has to route, but since he's on the edge of the board, he routes off the edge of the board. So we got them to leave. And again, that saves us some hand-to-hand. So we are pushing them out of the squares, or out of the hexes. All right, and that's all of the route, and there's no melee. So we can do recovery and then come back and start turn 6. I believe we're doing this game correctly so far. We'll see when y'all put the comments how we're doing. Yeah, I was just looking at the board, and I would think, because I think when you're doing your route check, situations can build upon each other. And what I mean is this. The German unit that was in here routed, and then he should have checked his route first. He passed. And the German unit routed, and then he failed. And then that German unit left. But that would then leave this American unit alone in a hex adjacent to him, and he does have a 9. So I think I have to check for him. I'm going to do it right now. I could be wrong, but I think that when the situation on the board changed, he'd now have to make a morale check based on that new updated situation. I could be wrong, but he passes either way. So hopefully I would have had to make another morale check, but they stay. They're brave. All right, again, we're on turn 6. Here comes the Americans. I checked. We have a lovely line of sight. It comes real close to nicking the corner of that building, but it looks like it's pretty legit. It barely misses it. So we're going to fire with that weapon team. So the weapon team will score, because that's a wooden building, so the weapon team will score a hit on a 7. So if they roll really, really well, we're going to put some good suppressive firepower there. Roll to 5. Okay, so that is just one level of suppression. And they get used. And let's see if we can fire up there. So we're going to use their 6. And they're in a wood building, so that's going to be a 5. But they're adjacent, so that should bring their firepower up to an 8. So they're going to roll, they're rolling modified of 8. And I rolled a 1. Okay, so 1. I needed an 8. So I believe if you add this number, the second, so if you can add the first number to your die roll, and it's under your modified firepower, or equal to or under, that's a casualty. Let's see. If the adjusted, if being made, roll 1 against normal. Okay, adjacent roll 1 results in target being reduced. Let's see here. I'm looking for the reduction. Add a yellow suppress. If unit, okay. If possible, to add the first number or only number to the target's casualty rating to the die roll, and the result is still less than or equal to the adjusted firepower. So now I rolled a 1, and I think I needed an 8. Let me remath that because I want you guys to tell me if I'm wrong. So I'm already at 6 minus 1 because it's a wood building. Then I add 3 because we're adjacent. That would make it a total of 8. So then I roll a 1, and then I add that 7. That means that unit is fully eliminated. If I could only add the 3, they would suffer 1 reduction, but because I add the 7, they get reduced twice. That would eliminate that unit. Now, here's the thing. I did forget to roll their morale, so that might not even be valid if I roll a 10. I rolled a 1, so they passed their morale, and then they lit that place up, and if I did that correctly, that got rid of that German unit there. Oof, okay. I know I made mistakes, and I caught, I think, some of the mistakes. So please, when you're watching, if you find a math mistake, even if it's something that looks like I corrected, it's okay if you put a timestamp, then folks that are watching this can come back and go, okay, yeah, here's where Eddie made a mistake, and I can learn from that too. But yeah, as the game progressed, I think I started to catch some. I would really like to feel like near the end I caught most of the mistakes, but you know how it is. I'm hoping play a few more games and we'll really start to get this down. Okay, so just a quick summary of the battle here. Yeah, if I did any of that mostly correctly, that was definitely a stomping by the American troops. And that could be poor defense positioning by me. I mean, that is the problem when you're playing this solo. There's like no solo AI to really help with that. So I'm just trying to make good decisions for the German player. So I hope I made good decisions for the German player. But yeah, the American Airborne, really good stats. Those, yeah, these are some elite troops. They had no problems really pushing up. I had a few setbacks with some failed morale checks in a couple spots, which made for some interesting narrative gameplay. But overall, that was fun. This was as fun as I remember. And as I learn the rules more, as you guys help me learn, I think that this will definitely be hitting the table again. Like I say with all the games, right? But I'm hoping this one hits again. Definitely, for sure. And then, depending on the scenario, if it goes to beyond, I think like maybe 4 maps I could do, just with the table space I have for filming. So as long as the scenarios stay kind of small, we should be okay. Like I'm looking, a lot of these in the beginning are two boards. Scenario number 4, Battle of Bloody Gulch, that's 4 maps, but I should be able to, with just a little minimal amount of camera moving, be able to do it. Scenario 5 has got 2. Scenario 7 has 4. Scenario 6 has 2. Scenario 9, maybe not, because it's got 4 that are laid out lengthwise, so that might not fit. Black Friday might not fit. Yeah, there's a few here along the way that I will probably just have to skip, specifically for, you know, board size purposes. But as we move along, look here. Nice. Scenario 16, To Die on Christmas. 1 map. Perfect. Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, so we're good. I'm liking it. This is good. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have got experience with Band of Brothers, you know, go ahead and share. I know this isn't for everyone, but after coming and playing it again, I'm like, yeah, this is actually pretty fun. And I don't know what you all think of it. Do you like it? Do you want to see more? Well, I tell you what, if you don't want to see more, there probably will be more. So if you want to see more, hopefully, then you know, I'll make your dreams come true. All right, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you around next time.